Hey, and welcome to another episode of Grit in the Wild podcast. I'm your host, Adam Short,
And I'm your co-host, Melissa Short.
and together we're here to talk about toxic faith, spiritual abuse, religious trauma, and really unpack our stories. And today, speaking of stories, we actually have part two of our very special guest, Joy Bullard, who's joining us again. And
Hello.
Joy, thanks for being here.
Yeah, we're glad to have you here. And we're just going to go ahead and let's just jump back in where we left off on your story.
I'll hit on the structure real quick because it will inform, and it might even inform some of Andrew's story, the way things were handled, and practically how they were handled. But the structure that was eventually laid out while we merged was an organizational chart. That's what I mentioned, organizational chart.
Mm-hmm.
And so you went to your uplink. So we were section leaders. We would go to our head section leader or whoever that was. It changed sometimes, or the head of the prayer room or whoever, but you would just kind of go up and up and up.
Mm-hmm.
But we would always go to whoever we were supposed to go to. And what we were told is don't go to anyone else because everyone is so busy. We just got so much going on. You really need to go to your person, and then your person will bring it to the person above them. And that's all we were really told. Again, everything was so big that other people were told kind of different things, but some people just didn't do that and went around or went to the next person, whatever. But something that Andrew, again, having the experience of Joy, you're aggressive. You bring an energy. I was constantly filtering my actions when I would address this person about anything, through the lens of don't be aggressive, don't bring an energy. So I would even ask my questions differently. I became a whole lot less pointed in my, just not pointed like I'm like accusatory or anything like that, but pointed in the clarity of a question. That's something that I feel like was halted. Something that Andrew said to me a lot is like, Joy, you just have a way of asking questions. Like that one question I asked, like, are you sure you don't just need the position filled?
Yeah.
And that's something that I just stopped doing. I just, which I think is good in a way to learn when to not say something. But also it wasn't, I wish I would have been in an environment where that was coached, like, and I was helped and directed in something, not just told, don't do that, you know? But you would go to your uplink and then they would bring it. So what we realized over years is we would bring, in our realm of like section leading and stuff like that, we would bring like pressing issues of whether it's the safety of the building, because you have people walking in off the streets because it's 24/7. I mean, you have Waffle House that's open and you have the 24/7 prayer room that's open. And it's a church. So a lot of people feel like it's a refuge, and it should be a refuge. But between Waffle House, they're going to kick you out at a certain point because you're not a paying customer. What are we going to do with the house of prayer? So there were real issues like that of the safety of people that would come up, and we would bring many different things, whether it was like the structure of a prayer meeting, the safety of the property, the safety of a situation, an incident that had happened, an event we were hosting, whatever. We'd bring these things to the person, and certain things would have to go up to the next person. And we don't know if they were ever brought to the next person because things would just not get done. Like they just wouldn't get done. And again, having that pre-existing filter of don't be aggressive.
Yeah.
Don't get yelled at. The existing frustration of being treated different and knowing you're treated different, but this person never changing and not knowing how to address that, and not even having the words. Like all of that is like swimming in my subconscious almost. I don't know how to put words to that, you know? But once things kind of started to happen, there were a few trigger moments that were like, we're done. And we're seeing this different and we're making different decisions. Because it was like previous to 2022, we made decisions based on, yes, praying, yes, the call, that where God had us, all that stuff, but an incredible emphasis on like, is 24/7 going to exist? Because that was a very real pressure on so many people, especially if you came into the environment when you were young. So Andrew and I were 19. We got married there. We met there. We were, there was just a lot to it that in our young years, we just, I think, signed up for something, and just felt like we couldn't leave. Like we
Yeah,
had
it's so much a
to.
part of your theology, right? And all mixed together at that point that I could imagine
Mhm.
the thought of, yeah, like letting people down or, yeah,
Right.
not holding up that would just feel like an enormous amount of pressure on so
Yeah,
many
and
levels. Yeah.
there's a certain amount of it that's like, well, if I don't show up for that set, someone else will just fill it. Or like, what's really going to happen? Like, they're totally moments where no one was, I mean, in the night watch, there were moments I had to go to the bathroom. I'm either pooping my pants at the altar or I'm going to the bathroom. No one is here. What do?
Yeah.
You run to the
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just real life,
You got to
right?
do what you got to do.
Nature
That's
calls.
real life. That's the reality of the night watch. So like that also is a big question that sometimes we would ask in the heat of the moment of like, what is 24/7 prayer and worship? Like, is it music? Is it 24/7
Yeah.
music that we're doing?
Right. Good
24/7
point.
genuine prayer? Because there are days that I was there that I did not have the heart of worship. I did not have the heart of prayer because I was being crushed by the rigor of it. And it took me a long time to admit that. But those questions of like, if you're the only one in the room and you don't have the heart of prayer or worship, but you're sitting there singing, I'll give you all my worship, I'll give you all my praise. Like, I don't think that's 24/7 prayer and worship. Like, I don't.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I was there because of a responsibility that I felt if I didn't do, I was going to get yelled at. I was going to get chewed out.
You had that driving pressure and force of the what ifs in the back of your head
Mhm.
of the leadership at that point, it sounds like. Are we talking like, is this 2020 at this point, 2021?
This is closer to 2018, 2019 because 2020 was so different. Everything was like, we have to keep 24/7 prayer going in the middle of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
It was so interesting. So that's like 2020, 2021 is so interesting because we're in the middle of the merge. We're in the middle of two buildings. In 2020, we sold our building that was the House of Prayer building and moved the House of Prayer into the church building. So we were operating as the same ministry in two different buildings, which worked to a degree. But then because Andrew and I were section leaders, we know how to lock up the one building. We know there's a certain amount of leadership you have to give your section leaders because they're essentially like the on-duty manager that has to handle all the stuff. They got to handle the transitions, the locking up, the facilitating of people, talking with people if they come in. There's just a lot of doing sound. Like there's a lot of logistics like that you need to know. So when we merged into a new building, we didn't get keys to that building because we didn't need keys to that building, or there were just so many things that were so different. A new soundboard. So all of that is happening in the middle of COVID. Also, we had like everyone is sheltering in place. You can't have 24/7 live worship and prayer if you're all sheltered in place at your home. Like, what are we going to do? So we're having all these like meetings of like, we got to do like Zoom 24/7 where we're going to like pass it off and everyone's going to do Zoom online, which I was never going to do. I looked at Andrew and I was like, if this prayer room goes virtual, I am not attending. This is ridiculous. We just need to pause and we need to wait it out. Like this is not happening. It didn't happen. But
so y'all still kept meeting as normal in your prayer room then?
Yeah, we did. We just stripped it down to devotional. And we had no holes for a couple of months. It was actually one of the best and most productive times of prayer and worship I think I've ever experienced there. But the only reason I can put my finger on it is we were all prioritizing the same thing. We're all prioritizing the prayer room.
Gotcha.
We're all doing the same thing.
So it sounds like the COVID era maybe was a little bit different in that there was some more cohesiveness just because of the nature of everything that was going on. And
Yeah,
yeah.
there were things that kind of, when we were merging, had to be put on hold. So our meetings too, the nature of them is a lot of it is, I don't know. So if you don't know, you can't make tactical decisions and you can't have tactical meetings. And the tactical meetings are where things get heated up because there's difference of opinion. There's difference of methodology of how something should happen, or the method of which it should happen, who should do it, who shouldn't do it, all of that stuff. So when we were merging, it was years of just like, are we doing worship? Yeah. Are we doing prayer? Yeah. Sweet. Like we didn't really build in our department. And that was tough. That was tough because it was just years of, we got to figure out who we are. And I kid you not, up until the day we left, I remember the last meeting that my husband and I had with one of the pastors. It had been 7 years of merging. And this person said, well, yeah, we're just still trying to figure out who we are. And Andrew looked him dead in the face and he said, excuse me, sir, we are who we are. This is it. You're not figuring out. This is who you guys have decided to be at this point.
Are you saying that the merge took 7 years? It actually was a 7-year process, or you're saying post-merge 7 years?
No, the merge, I don't know fully the internals of how long the merge took. We merged in 2018. We sold the building in 2020. I feel like it merged in sections. Like we merged in, we're the same ministry, but we have two different buildings.
Okay.
So at the church, we talk about how we have a prayer room and it's located at this other building close by.
Yeah.
So the prayer room is almost like an extended ministry of the church, right?
Makes sense.
But then we sold the building and put it all in one building. So then that's when it really started to affect us deeply because it's affecting our processes as intercessory missionaries, as section leaders. Like it's the processes and procedures of the prayer room weren't really changed that much until we were all in one building. And that was 2 years after we renamed the church from IHOP Atlanta / New Bridge Church. Like we did New Hop, IHOP, New Bridge. We had two separate names, but we're the same ministry for 2 years. We renamed it in 2020, I think. Maybe 2021. I'm not sure.
Gate City at that point, right?
City, yeah. We renamed it then to Gate City. Maybe it was 2019 that we did it because we had a big outdoor thing. So maybe it's just 1 year that we renamed. And then 2020, we sold the building. And that's when we really started to experience the friction of merging. It took years to merge, but the leaders were saying we're still figuring out who we are 7 years later. That was what I was saying.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
So kind of fast forwarding a little bit, like all that's been going on, like all the changes, all the structure stuff that's been really messy. Like moving on from there, that was 2020. You said 2021 kind of went through there. And then kind of moving forward from there, like, yeah, where did you get like from there to leaving? Like, if you want to talk a little bit about that process, or what were some like big events within that time period between then and like when you left that you feel like, yeah.
Good question. Okay, so we left. Andrew left staff. I'll start with when we left and then scrub back to fill in the gaps. Yeah. Andrew left staff the beginning of 2024, so a year and a half ago. I left staff the beginning of this year, 2025. And Mike Bickle's scandal happened in the October of 2023. So October of 2023, that's when Mike Bickle's scandal happened. 3 or 4 months later, Andrew's gone. Like he's like, there was so much that happened right before then and after that was just like goodbye. Here's how I like to say it. Stuff was happening between there was an incident that happened in 2022 in January that led us to change the way we thought and saw everything. And like a basset hound catches a scent, like a basset hound is like hunting for a scent. They kind of see it here, they kind of smell it there, they're unsure over here, they catch it and they're like, oh, like that's it.
Yeah.
There was a basset hound moment for us in 2022 that was like, we're on the scent.
Yeah.
But there was the clarity. We had no language. We didn't have language. We didn't have understanding until the Mike Bickle thing happened about a year later. Because when Mike Bickle's scandal came out, suddenly you had just people talking about it. Everything from like, this is my horrific experience of abuse to like, this was a bad work environment, or I was a community member and it was weird. But all these people have those experiences and had the courage to talk about it, which gave people like us the words.
Yeah, it's like it gave everyone permission at that point in time, I think, for all of us to really realize, oh my gosh, I have a story like that too.
Yeah. And something that caused us to not see or even look at stuff previous to the Mike Bickle scandal is a lot of people left offended. A lot of people left and lost their faith. A lot of people, unfortunately, and I wish I would have seen this, unfortunately, the fruit of even our 24/7 House of Prayer here in Atlanta for the past 20 years. This is a bold statement that I don't know if everyone agrees with it, but this is my personal observation. 20 years of 24/7 worship and prayer in Atlanta. It's going to be 20 this February. A lot of the fruit is people leaving offended. That's what the leaders have said. A lot of the fruit is people,
right?
The closest people to the ministry who are on staff losing their faith. Shouldn't they be leaving with a stronger faith? Like, shouldn't people be leaving for good reasons because God is actually sending them, not because that's what the leaders are saying? Like, shouldn't people leave and have the permission to share their story, not feel silenced and things like that?
Right. Yeah. And that's like the definition of spiritual abuse, right? Is the lessening of your faith life and your connection to God. And so it's so much easier, I think, for people in systems. Again, I don't know everyone in this system, but just the pattern we're seeing to label you're offended, or even using walking away from God as an excuse for their behavior, and to just say they're offended, oh, look at them, they don't follow God anymore, when in reality, like, hey, you're a big reason why they're not following God anymore.
Totally. And I mean, there is the personal responsibility that every believer has to have your own relationship built on the rock, not on the sand. But dude, I'll be honest with you. I mean, Andrew and I deconstructed a whole lot over the past years of our faith.
I bet.
Deconstructing in the sense of like renovating. When you're renovating a house, you had said that. You rip off the walls and you get the mold out, but you put the walls back on. And you don't, and in some instances you do have to rip out the whole house. In some instances, the house is down to the foundation. You have to rip it out and build something completely new. But you still
in some cases, you have to take it a step further and dig up the foundation itself and just literally start from the dirt.
Exactly.
Well, I think some people too, like in these moves, like you're saying, you guys came young, and I don't know what your background is, but I think for some people who maybe didn't grow up, right, with a solid Christian foundation in their home, if they're coming as a brand new believer to something like that, I think it could be much easier for that foundation to maybe not be there, and much, again, like I agree with you, there is a personal responsibility, but I also feel for some who may not have had that foundation to go to an organization, like IHOP or something like this. And you can see how, if that wasn't there to start with, how that can be so destructive too.
Absolutely. And especially when you're young, you need someone to be instructive and helpful and not point out the bad things, like point out the bad things and the character flaws, but teach them how to improve, like those things. And even the foundation. I mean, Andrew and I we believe that that's one of the reasons we did not fully deconstruct, is we were saved for a long time beforehand, but we also have family. Like, we were taught the Bible at our homes. We were given that foundation in our home by our parents, by our fathers, to love the Lord, to serve the Lord, and what that looks like outside of the church. But we did get hauled away in the world of ministry. And so, and I know for me, my dad was a phone call away, but it's different when your family can see you. Like I remember when my father-in-law, when we came off night watch. So when we came off night watch, I'll say this real quick. I was having panic attacks. there was a moment where I was just seized on the couch, crying for like 6 hours, and I didn't know why, but now I know why. I was thinking about it just over the past couple months, and I'm just like, it hit me. I woke up thinking I can't go to the prayer room. I can't go to the prayer room for 6 hours. Like going to the prayer room for 6 hours sent me into a full blown, like, shaking, seizing, crying, panic attack. And Andrew woke up and saw me on the couch and like did not know what to do. He'd never seen it. And then we just continued our job there.
So you're saying you would just kind of push through that and go anyway?
Oh yeah.
Like in those moments when you had the panic attacks,
and this I had to do 2 or 3 hours of worship those nights.
Wow.
And people wouldn't show up. And if people didn't show up, it meant I had to do 4 hours or 5 hours of worship.
Wow.
Yeah. So those were we just did it. So, what was I saying? But what was I on? I was on something before that said something that I brought up. Whatever, it'll come back. But yeah, just the way we hold away ourselves in ministry. I remember Andrew's dad, when we came off night watch, he looked at us and you guys look so rested. You look so happy.
Ironically, you get to sleep when it's dark outside.
So I looked at him and I was like, have we not looked rested? He's like, you look tired for months.
Wow.
And I just didn't know what to say. And I was like, oh God, like I was.
Yeah.
And when was this, Joy, when Andrew's dad told you that?
That's when we came off of night watch in 2017.
Okay. So that was a while back.
A long time ago. But that was just a side note of like, we were so separated from friends and family doing stuff. And even in the world of being on staff at somewhere like a house of prayer, there's few people that understand like you're raising support, you're living in America, you're doing worship 24/7. It's just such an interesting thing that there's not a lot of, like, if you run into another accountant, you're going to be like, I don't know, you're going to have stuff to talk about, but like, there's not like no accountants around. And it's like a rare thing to, man, accountant, I don't even know how to talk to him. Like, people are going to have a reference for your job. There's just no reference for our job, no understanding.
That's a unique type of ministry. Yeah.
That really only exists in the IHOP orbit. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, well, I'll for a fact, it only exists in the IHOP orbit insofar as the title, right? Intercessory missionary, which is now a famous title that a lot of people have heard. But previous to this, people that were not in those circles in the IHOP orbit or network would not have known what that was.
Totally. And we didn't really use the phrase intercessory missionary because of that.
You did not use that
at
IHOP Atlanta?
We use it at IHOP Atlanta, but when we would relate to other people, they'd ask us about our job. And we would say we're designated fundraisers for this ministry, and our job is to continue 24/7 worship and prayer. Here's how we do that. And whatever we raise, the ministry chooses to give it to us.
Yeah, that makes sense. You kind of contextualized it for, so they could understand. That makes sense.
Yep. Yeah. But you had asked about the things that kind of led us to awaken, our eyes to open.
Yeah.
Right. So we have the context of like the treatment that Andrew had seen me get treated. I had seen him just not tapped on, not called on, not seen, so to speak.
Yeah.
We were both section leaders. We were both doing the same thing. He did a lot. People just looked at me, not him. All the while we feel like we're doing what God is calling us to do. We really did feel that. That's another anomaly. Like, we feel like God really did call us to be there for the times we were there. And in 2021, it was Christmas into New Year's into January. When you're a section leader, 24/7 doesn't stop. So you either get Christmas covered or you are in the prayer room on Christmas. So we worked with our section leader team, and it was Andrew and I, and then a couple other people who served with us in the morning section. We were head section leaders in the morning, which the morning section is the strongest section at our house of prayer. Well, we had some incidences in 2021 that were very hard, where Andrew and I had to go into the prayer room for that holiday for November, for Thanksgiving. And it wasn't supposed to be that way. The people who were supposed to get it covered went out of town and then just didn't answer their phone, and they were staff. So they were under us. We worked through it. And we planned for Christmas so it wouldn't be that way. Well, Andrew, so this is 2021. I think we got COVID or the flu. We got the flu. It was Andrew. It's me who's pregnant with our daughter, Macy. It's our 1.5-year-old son. We all have the flu. And when you're pregnant with the flu, I mean, it might be a hospital visit away. We all have fevers, but Andrew had it the worst. Our son had it the worst, and then Andrew had it second the worst. So I'm caring for them also with the fever.
Right.
I'm the person who can go into the prayer room.
Dude, that is a lot.
It's a lot, and it's Christmas. So
there's no calling in sick.
No, because our position was head section leader of the mornings, and then the people below us were assistant section leader of the mornings. And the buck stopped with us, and that's how we ran it. It is our responsibility. If they can't, we do it, but we have to work as a team. And again, the framework of not much accountability, no accountability. I worked like 50 hours over Christmas week, sick.
While you were sick.
While I'm away, I'm like, can Andrew even take care of our son? Like, are we going to be okay? We missed a wedding. And then the people who were supposed to get stuff covered, who were on staff, didn't. And they, again, turned off their phone, didn't respond. And that was just unusual. I was like, this is so weird. So I didn't only cover for us, and the other people who couldn't make it, I covered for them. Whoa. And that's where I was like, this isn't okay. Like, this isn't okay. We needed that time to recover. The person didn't do their job. So we go into the new year, and the person I was having issues with as a leader over many, many years, and they were having issues with me. They're out of town. I forget what happened, but everyone around the Christmas and New Year's holiday, I mean, it's just, the world kind of stops. But in this world, it's like, no one goes to the prayer room. Like, unless you're...
I was going to ask you, like, how many people are actually coming on Christmas Day to the prayer room? I could imagine it was a small
amount. Well, Christmas Day, there are a lot of people. There are families who are like, we're just going to worship together. So that is a thing. Staff members, no. I've never... My experience, it's like, I'm taking all my days off that I don't have for the rest of the year, and I'm not coming in. Like, you know, when you're secretary, you don't have that luxury. It is we were on call every day, all the time. Like, that is what we signed up for. So, we needed that I was like, we needed that time. So I approached the person and tried to call the person who dropped the ball, just drop the ball. And I was like, hey, they weren't responding to my phone calls. They weren't responding to my text messages. And eventually they said, yeah, I turned my phone off. And I was like, okay. So I go to my boss, and I'm like, this is what happened. This is a problem. We just need to talk about it. Why did it happen? I need an answer. I can't work with this person. Like, we're not a team. What has happened? It was out of the blue too. It was 2 holidays in a row. I don't understand. And, again, like, I was intense. It meant a lot to me. That could have been very, I don't put it past that I might have hurt their feelings, or, there's definitely something that I've never been given the opportunity to own it, though. I will say that they never, well, here's what happened. I set up a meeting for me, my husband, the assistant section leader, and then the boss to get together and have a Zoom meeting or something like that, a FaceTime meeting. And my boss sets up the meeting. So I got us all together. I got the time, but my boss sends out the link, and he only sends it to my husband, the assistant section leader, and himself. I do not get one. And I was like, where's the link? Where's the link? And Andrew was like, you didn't get one? I was like, this must be a mistake. So just go ahead and send me the link. He texts our boss and he's like, no, I intentionally did not invite Joy. I do not want Joy in this meeting.
Why?
And I was
Wait,
like,
is this the same person that
it's the same person.
okay, yelled at you
Yes.
way on
Yeah.
back whenever? Okay.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
The same treatment had been happening.
Yeah.
Same you just always bring an energy, but I could never fix it. Years, like at this point, it was like 5 or 6 years of I did nothing. Like there's no evidence that I could bring to this person to fix it, even though I was doing everything I could. And asking, haven't you seen, like, am I getting better? There was one time he said, yeah, you are getting better. And then the next meeting, he was like, well, I thought you were getting better, but like, no, this other thing happened. So it was literally like someone mentioned about IHOP Kansas City, how the goalposts would always get moved. So like you can never fully, that spoke deeply to me because it was and Andrew saw it and we just had no idea what to do. Andrew didn't know fully because he wasn't in those meetings though. That was a meeting, the worship leadership meetings were things I was in. And that's where a lot of it would go down. When Andrew was there with me, I would not really get treated that way. I think it's because he was with me.
But it's like in this situation, this person didn't invite you, they invited Andrew. So it's almost like the opposite.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
Which is weird.
Yes.
What's that about?
Andrew had a problem with it too, because he was like, I saw my sick wife, who's just the least sick of all of us, who's also 6 months pregnant, going to do a job she should have never done because someone turned off their phone intentionally because they didn't want to answer her calls. But if Joy doesn't go do the job, she's going to get chewed out. Like, that's just a reality that I'm going, okay, I don't know what else to do. It's our job. It's our income. It's our, what do you do? So this meeting happens and I'm upstairs, like painting our nursery. And I'm just like, this is ridiculous. Cause it's three men. There's no women in the meeting.
Of course. That's what IHOP always does. It's just men. They bully you.
And I was never able, again, I was the one who had the main problem, called the meeting and was just trying to get to the place where we could all work together and get an answer. Why did you turn off your phone? That should not be a practice. And also find out if you can't do this job, like, it's okay. Let's just figure out how to break it up. If this is too much for you, let's figure out how to reallocate things together as a team. Like, let's work as a team, not say we're a team and then do something like that. And so Andrew comes upstairs after the meeting, and this is the moment that like set us on a new course. So I'm like sitting on the floor and I'm like, did you ask them why I couldn't come? Why I was not invited? And he said, I did. And I don't want to tell you. And I was like, don't do that to me. Like, I'm already confused about what is going on. And now I have to go to, like, don't do that to me. And he says, Joy, so it was our boss. He said, the reason you were not invited is because you're just a helper, like all the other moms. And at the moment I was a full-time employee, and the moms he was referring to were not on staff. And I have no problem.
Just a helper.
I find that so interesting because, right, like going back to this person, you were asked first to be in this role. It's almost like
that's what I was saying. Yeah.
I've not even thought about that.
Well, that's what hit me was the beginning. You were the one highlighted. Like, we want you, Joy, to be the person. And then now here we are, and this happens.
Right. So that phrase, helper, I mean, we all think of the same scripture, right? The woman was given as a helper to the man. But at that moment, like, the time for me had not come to stop working and be a full-time stay-at-home mom. And I had no problem with he actually said a few different names that he was just like this person and this person and this person. And I don't have problems with like who he grouped me up with. I have everything to do with the problem that I'm a full-time employee and you just put me in the category of someone who doesn't work as an employee for you. This is it. So in that moment, I I screamed one of the most painful screams I've ever screamed in my life. Like my body was sore after screaming. I didn't tear anything, I don't think, but it was like the most guttural, painful. It just erupted out of me. And I cried for hours. Andrew wept for hours because he's hit with the reality in that moment of not only is my wife's worth nothing, that means I'm worth nothing. Our position is worth nothing. What are we doing? And we cried for the next couple of days. We took the next day off. We didn't go in. But that moment of you're just a helper, it was 2 days later. No, it was the next day that I looked Andrew in the face. We were just crying at our kitchen table. We just could not. We were reeling from this, like what was said. The person had called me to try and smooth it over. I'm like, you said this. You said I'm just a helper. I worked here. You have known how much I've worked here. This person had said to me, you're a pillar in this house of prayer. You're a pillar that's for so many years. And then his boss called me because they were all on a trip together for some work thing. So his boss called me, who is also a problem, and tried to smooth over his conversation with me. They were trying to smooth over everything because what was said was very wrong. And that's when it was clear to me, oh, I am treated like a helper.
Yeah, it sounds like, like again, sorry to interrupt, but like I don't know this person again, but like just from my studies with the narcissistic person, again, behaviors, whether that person is or not, the love bombing, right? When I need something from you, you're this, you're that. And when I don't like what you're doing, when you threaten me, when I'm insecure around you, the discarding, right? The minimization and the discarding is what I'm hearing, which is, it's just, of course you would be devastated by that. It's so dehumanizing and just devaluing. I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry. Yeah.
Well, in the moment, it was one of the most awful things. But I look back at that moment and it was truly like, it was like Andrew and I had been sitting in a race car with no gas for so long, and someone put gas in the tank and we were able to run after what we were supposed to run after. It was just so, we just knew, it just clicked in us like, we can't be here. And not necessarily, we didn't go in the brain, we can't be here in this ministry. It was, we're not working under this person anymore. So,
okay.
That's what just set us. It was a freeing moment. It wasn't, I wish we would have seen everything at the moment, but whatever. It takes time for everyone. Everyone goes on their own journey.
Yeah.
But we, so 24 hours later, I looked at him and I was like, so one of the things is we got a $1,000 stipend to be in that position. So if we let go of this position, we let go of $1,000, which is a family having a baby. That's a decent amount of money. And I looked at him and I said, Andrew, we are allowing this $1,000 to dictate our decision to get treated this way. Like we're allowing this person to treat us this way. We're allowing people to treat us this way because, we're going to go into the prayer room. We're going to cover people's, like, when they don't do it. That's just the kind of people we are. We're going to work as a team, even if we're the ones suffering.
Right.
And I said, we don't need this $1,000 and we're not going to let money decide.
Good
and
for
I looked
you.
at him and I said, would you quit with me?
Wow.
And we sat in our kitchen and he said, yes, let's quit tomorrow. So the next day was my birthday.
Nice birthday present.
I swear it was the best birthday I ever had. We walked into the prayer room, had this. So I was like, hey, I called the person. I was like, hey, let's have a meeting. He thinks it's a reconciliation meeting because that's what it's always been. It's been bad behavior after bad behavior after bad behavior.
Y'all have to come in and take the low road and, take the bruises and everything else and be the bigger people.
Totally. So, since his boss was also involved, I told him, I said, we just want to talk with you. Do not bring this other person. And Andrew and I talked about that because we knew that other person would manipulate us. This person's behavior was very manipulative. We said, do not bring that person. We know, we didn't say anything at the time of the text. So we get together in the meeting. This person's very repentant. I'm so sorry. He says nothing about saying anything about being a helper. And we lay it on him and we say, hey, we are giving you our 5 weeks notice, which we gave 5 weeks. I don't know why we gave 5
Yeah, I
weeks.
was going to ask that. What is the 5 weeks?
Because a section leader is a very big role. So we're thinking we just don't want to work under you, but we're not about making a statement to like get on the organization's bad side. Like that's not our goal. We still want to work here. We're just making it known, not in this position. And so I wish we would have just been like, no, we're done, because we got treated the same way.
Even after you left up under that leader and moved elsewhere.
I mean, after that leader, I literally did not work with him a day again. I said, I'm not working with you anymore.
Good for you, though.
Yeah.
What did he say? I mean, do you remember how he responded to that? Like just that frank boundary that you put up? He
cried. He was very repentant, and he said he understood.
Okay.
He said, I hope that I can, he, again, this person is very humble. They did repent. He said, I hope that I can prove to you in future days that we can work together. There was another moment like in a couple of years, or in a year after having my daughter, where he asked me to come on a team. I was like, you know what? I will check it out. It's been a while, but I also had the understanding in my heart of like, I'm not going to let anyone control me. Like, I'm not going to let money control me. At the same time, I knew there were also stipends available. And like, if I have something that I genuinely want to do, and I will be very frank with people and they will be okay working with me, why not? And there was a moment where he was asking me to do something that wasn't going to be more pay, that wasn't going to be any extra. It was just going to be a lot of extra time. And I sat down in the room with them and I was like, do all of you guys get stipends? And they all just kind of looked at each other. And I was like, because I didn't hear anything about offering me a stipend. And I don't think it's fair for you to ask me as a mother to do extra work for free when none of you have kids and you all get paid extra. And I know you can find a stipend if you really wanted me to be here.
Good for you.
I said, I don't have a problem working with you. I just want honesty, because I'm not going to work with a dishonest team. And I did not work with that team because it just felt dishonest. I was like, this is just not, they were like, oh, we don't have any extra this, any extra that. But I'm like, no, that's not, there's a lot better. Yeah. And at the end of the day, I'm like, I don't want to work with you specifically bad enough to like make it work. But I didn't work with him. We told him in that meeting, going back when we said we're quitting section leading, we told him in that meeting, we did not want this other leader here because we know he would manipulate us into staying with his words. And we just didn't want that as a factor. And we want you to tell him those exact words. He did deliver that message. We did have a later meeting with that leader, who said, I'm sorry that you feel that way, that I'll manipulate you into staying. And we said, this is exactly how you have operated. And we want you to know our decision is final. And then this person ended up saying, well, I would just hate for you to leave when there's like a lot of change coming. And there's a lot of like, I mean, the stipend could grow and like, oh man,
carrot on the stick.
Family. And I said, this is exactly the behavior we did not want to be in. And we are not coming back.
This is the classic carrot on the stick.
Yeah, and change
replicated so frequently across IHOP.
Change did not come to the department. Stipends did not increase; they decreased. The work was the same or worse for people. The treatment was the same or worse for people, and we didn't speak up about much because we still worked there. And we didn't have words for it. I mean, we didn't have words for a lot of this stuff. But that 2022 moment happened and we were like, let's find a department we can work in. Let's find a spot we can work in. That's when Andrew's real spiritual abuse started happening. That's when he started having meetings with other people, because we had this meeting shortly after we left section leading that was like, we're a church. We're not a house of prayer anymore. We're a church with, for us, we had an ethical problem with raising funds to be on staff at a church. We were always a house of prayer. That was a missions base. And there was no clarity given. So that's when he started having meetings with the people. And in his episode, he talked about being convinced he was an Absalom. That's that beginning of
That
2022.
section of his story.
Yeah. And what happened in that time is when I got out from being under that really bad leader who, again, has repented, but I do not know about, I don't know about the behavior, and I don't know if it was specific to me. I know there are people who really love him, and I know why. He's a great person. But when I got out of there, I was free. I was like, oh my gosh, sky's the limit. I can be a musician. I could be a mom. I could just go to the prayer room and like write music and lead worship and train people and how to play their instruments is awesome. And Andrew's world crumbled because if you're not serving the prayer room in this context, in this ministry, you don't have anywhere else to go. It's not like we have a track for developing preachers and teachers or saying, hey, come and work in the family ministry, or hey, come and work in these. We had to like go and seek stuff out. But even then it was like weird. And we're trying to grapple with the merge and how we're a church now. And what does that mean for our job? And we're asking like, what's the legality behind this and how we raise funds, and people aren't answering it. And that's when the whole offense narrative got brought up. You're just offended that you lost your prayer room, that you just so many different things. You're offended. And the offense goalpost then started getting moved. And that started his 2-year process of from 2022 to 2024. You're offended and there's nothing you could do. And all he was told is go to the prayer room. And my point of view is I was seeing him break and buckle under the pressure of his only direction was go to the prayer room and work it out yourself. And being in the prayer room for 20 hours for a full-time 40-hour work week is a lot and hard. Yeah. And not always easy. He was told, don't even do service hours, just go for 40 hours a week. So for a time, it was 40 hours a week. He was in the prayer room. And that is like not good. And he mentioned this in his podcast, but I asked him if I could in this one, because it's my perspective. He was trying hours and hours and hours and hours of days publicly, privately, in the prayer room, out of the prayer room, at the store, in the car, at home for months. He would wake up in the middle of the night, and I thought he was being like tormented because he would wake up just gutturally screaming.
Oh my gosh.
I would wake up in the middle of the night and he would be in the closet because he didn't want to wake me up, just wailing. And I thought, I didn't know. I didn't know what to do. And we're being told you're offended. And we're being told, oh man, you just have to get your offense worked out and then we can get you a spot here. So there's that carrot, like you had mentioned.
Yeah.
And just when I hear that too, like it sounds like too, just like from a trauma perspective, like the body, right? Like the guttural cries and just that release, like the body literally is expressing, what is going on, subconsciously, consciously too.
Yeah.
Just the effects of that, right? That toxic stress from the environment. And and like you too with the panic attacks, just the body expressing that, the effects of that environment that you guys were under. And I think a similarity that I noticed too, like both of you were given this label, right? That was continuing, like you have this energy, you're too aggressive. And for Andrew, it was like, the Absalom and the offense. And that was continually used over both of you, it sounds like, throughout your time.
And that right there, let's just call that what it is. That is textbook spiritual abuse.
Yeah.
Using labels, using false hope, using this sort of, moving the goalpost and promising things that whether they know or they don't know will happen or not, right? But the ultimate effect is degradation to you as a human.
Absolutely.
Particularly in your spiritual life, which is arguably one of the most intimate and deep parts of yourself.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And just the idea too, like when I hear, I hear how you're talking and how you communicated along the way. And it's like, I think about like, that's like the goal. Like that is healthy communication. That is a healthy environment. And so it grieves me to hear these interactions, right? Like, like we're told to speak the truth in love. We're told to be honest. And it's just, to me, another indicator of how far we are in our churches and ministries from healthy communication and how that is twisted and the projection that comes back. Like, I'm uncomfortable with what you're bringing to me, so I'm going to make you the problem. And just, yeah, the damage that does, the confusion, the manipulation, and just all of that. Yeah.
I did what you had mentioned about the insecurity that's projected on people. So that same leader that called me a helper, that it threw me all out of sorts. That moment happened when Billy Humphrey, the director of the House of Prayer, was on sabbatical. So I was close enough with Billy where I would go to him for stuff like that, where I wasn't close with the other pastors who had merged with us. In fact, the other pastors that had merged with us, we were going to them, and that's where some of the Absalom stuff came from. And then the other leader from the House of Prayer who kind of took Billy's spot was the manipulative person that we said, we don't want you in this meeting because you're going to manipulate us to stay. So I wasn't going to that person. So I just didn't go to anyone. I was just like, you know what? My job is to raise my children and be in the prayer room. That's it. And I loved it because singing, writing music, it was just like, I did love that part, but it was a very clear boundary line for me. If I go outside of this, not happening. So when Billy came back off of sabbatical, he noticed I was acting funny. He noticed I was not myself, which I would say is true. I mean, for so many reasons, I wasn't acting myself. My husband is screaming and crying.
Yeah.
Of course.
There's so many I look back and I'm like, oh man, I thought it was just that one incident that was just hanging over my head. There's so much garbage that was happening.
Yeah.
But he approaches me. He's like, hey, are you doing okay? Like, you just seem a little off. You seem like not yourself. Is everything okay? And I trusted him. I confided in him. I was like, sure. Yeah, I'm not doing great. It's been really rough. Some really bad things happened when you were gone. He's like, well, I'd love to get together. So I get together and I tell him about it. And I told him, I said, the problem was never the lack of humility and repentance. The problem was the behavior never changed. That was the problem. And it was a long meeting. It was hard. I mean, lots of tears. I have the words now to communicate it so clearly, and like, it's hard, but it's not painful, if that makes sense. After just having years to pray through it, talk about it, go to counseling, all that stuff. But he was like, hey, let me go ahead. I can, if you want, like, broker a meeting between this person and you, and just get you guys on the right page to where you can just, like, because we both work in the prayer room world, like, just be good with each other. Like, does he know these things? And I was like, no, he doesn't know these things because he's never, like, asked. And so I pray about it. We do have a meeting. And in that meeting, something that was, I would say to Andrew for all the years, is it feels like this person is threatened by me. And to say that is like, well, I don't think I'm the stuff. Like, that's not why I'm saying it. But it's like, I have nothing else to say other than it feels like they're threatened by me. And in that meeting, I worked up the courage and I said, hey, it just feels like over all these years and all the section leader meetings, all of my ideas, if I had an idea, you would shelf it and then 2 weeks later come up with my idea and call it yours. Like,
okay.
And over and over. So many different things like that. It just has felt like you're threatened by me. And I don't say that out of pride. I say that out of, I can't say it any other way. Yeah. And he admitted to that in that meeting.
Wow.
He said, I have always been threatened by you. Wow. And he admitted to intentionally treating me differently so that he would shine. He admitted that in front of Billy.
Wow.
And that's the only time I've seen, again, he's repentant. And Billy was like, dude, you can't do that. I'm shocked to hear this. And you cannot treat anyone that way. You know, that's wrong, right? And he's like, I know it's wrong. I know it's wrong. And I just like, there was a moment, and it was weird because I'm sitting here and it's like, yeah, Billy, you have him, and Billy's talking to him. And I'm just like, it's like, if like you're watching your sibling get disciplined and you're like, they deserve it. But also I don't want to see this. Like, hey, now I'm going to discipline them. And now I'm going to discipline, like, moment, it was just like, this is weird. And years later, I've realized, especially after the Mike Bickle thing, it's because I never saw any accountability come to Billy. Like, I I didn't see accountability in any way come to him. When things were questioned and talked about, it would never get that far up. But that's the one time I saw accountability.
Interesting.
And again, the behavior, that's the thing I kept coming back to and will come back to forever, is like, did the behavior ever change? I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I just decided to, great, I said my piece. We're still not working together. I still see this person. I care about them. I care about the family. It's just in that work context. I just respectfully, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah. So there was that moment of just like, and I walked home and I was like, Andrew, you're never going to believe what I heard this person say. They admitted that, like, one, how can you treat, here's why we had the meeting. It was the workplace bullying policy. Did Andrew mention that in his episode with you guys?
You mentioned some of the HR, like bringing things to HR, but then it was a dead end.
Yeah, there were some dead ends, but it was that reading that policy for me that's what gave me the words to understand how I'd been treated by him. So when my friends were like, he's treating you this way and it's not okay, that HR policy spelled out words. And that gave me the courage to say yes to Billy and then approach him and say, by the book, this is what you did. Don't you see it? And I think that's what brought him to like oh my goodness. But yeah, so.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. That's the nitty gritty, of y'all's experience. I think, from the totality of your story that you've shared thus far, I'm sure there's more, but like just really getting into the real impact on both of y'all individually and as a couple.
Yeah.
Really appreciate you sharing that. It's hard to hear, but necessary to hear.
Yeah.
People need to hear it, especially people that used to be in the organization with y'all and people that may still be, they need to hear your story. They need to hear Andrew's story.
Yeah. And it's like, I think every time we hear, even if people outside of this organization, we hear bits and pieces of people's stories and we hear our own story in it. And like you said, like I listen to people and they put language to things that I didn't have language for, or something starts to click. And I think that's just so powerful about this, is it's really healing, for others that will maybe, like you said, maybe they're in the ministry, maybe they're not, but they'll be able to place themselves in your story too. And things click for them. I'm just curious, Joy, like, we asked Andrew this too, like, how are you moving forward? And I don't want to, like, if you want to like share more about like your final departure or however you want to do this, but I'm curious too, like, how are you moving forward now? And what is your healing from this looking like going forward? And what's been helpful to you, if you want to just any of that you want to share?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, okay, moving forward, I think having a decision and moving forward was vital for us because we were in this in between so long. Do we stay? Don't we stay? Do we leave staff and stay at the church? Or do we leave altogether? Can we do both? Can we do none? Yeah. But the moment we made the decision of we're just deciding we're not doing it. We're deciding. I think it was fired from an NAR church that Michael Miller did. He said, one of those guys at Remnant Radio said, if you're a part of a place that has authoritarian leadership, you can't change it. A lot of times you think you can and you can't. You just have to leave. That's a reality that we had heard that a couple of years prior. And it just hit us. Oh no, do we have to leave? Like at first it was like, oh no, do we? So having that decision, it was a year ago in October that we decided we're leaving. And we had a path. We were not in ambiguity. We had a path set before us. We knew a couple of the things that needed to be in place before we fully left. We needed to have another church that we went to so that we didn't just stop going to church, because we were teetering on that edge. We're like, if we don't find another church that we feel like is safe to land at, we're just not going to go. And we didn't want to do that. Once we found the church, it was like, great, we're not here anymore. And then I left in the new year. So just the power of decision making, I think, is just That's so good. Helpful for the brain, the heart, and the soul to know you have a track, especially as a husband and wife.
Yeah.
We know we were going together. It was like we were on a tandem bike and like we weren't together, but you're together on a tandem bike. Like you
Yeah.
have to do it together in sync for it to be effective and work. And it's like we got on the tandem bike and we knew we don't have a lot of this sorted out, but we have a path forward.
Mhm.
So decision making, something that's been helpful, I know for Andrew, is writing out his story. So when I left the church and the house of prayer, I was one of the worship pastors. It was me and my brother. So my brother and I were the worship pastors, and they did not announce my last Sunday. So my last Sunday was the Christmas service. We had done a huge special thing, but they didn't make an announcement to the church. We had 2 services that day. And so they made an announcement at the house of prayer on like a Tuesday prayer meeting that like all the staff come to. It was like maybe 50 people though. It's not like the 800 congregation church that I led worship at for 7.5 years.
Right.
So I basically left, and a lot of people reached out to me and were like, "Where are you? You're just not here," because I wasn't. And because of that, people then have questions of like, "Hey, what's going on? Are you okay? Like, did something happen? Oh yeah, we don't go there anymore. What?" And that brings a whole other level of like questions. And this does connect with the how are you working through this? When we were faced with that reality of people asking us questions at family gatherings, at friend gatherings, running into them at the store because we all live in the same city still, we didn't move,
Right.
or just like people calling us, people messaging us on Facebook or Instagram or wherever, or texting us, you have to relive that trauma. You have to relive that pain over and over again. And you are stuck with this, like, so the choice is, hey, let's just get together. But then you get together and it's like, let's take 2 hours to like,
oh my gosh.
go
And
through
then
it.
multiply that by 10, 15, 20 times. Yeah.
Right. And then by that time, I mean, just take one meeting. Like if we're in one meeting, you only have so much time, especially if you have kids. And then there's hardly room for questions. So the people who come asking ready with questions, they usually don't get them answered. They just get your story, which is helpful. So one of the things that has just been the most helpful in moving forward is taking the time to write down the story. So it, for me, that's like talking. So I'll like record myself. Andrew and I will talk. I've had a couple times where because Andrew and I are parallel. He experienced different things, but they're parallel, and they give insight to us. So then that gives me the availability to talk, if that makes sense. So we've intentionally connected with people who have left offended, and just asking them, "Is that what happened? I've never heard your side." But when Andrew wrote down a story, what we would do is instead of saying, "Let's have a 2-hour meeting and we'll just tell you to catch you up," we would send that written statement, I guess, I don't know. We'd send that to people and say, "Before we meet, would you please read this? We find it helpful for us to be able to not relive everything in the moment. You can read this on your own, have a pre-existing understanding of why we left, and then you can come with your questions. And then the meeting is incredibly productive and helpful because it's no longer everybody, like the people getting dumped on our story and experiencing what they're experiencing after hearing it. And then it's no longer us like, "Do you have any questions?" And also when you have a written form, it's all taken out. Like all the emotion is taken out from the delivery. And I have
a little
found
more objective, black and white.
exactly. You can take time and intention to put down your words with intention. And there are times where when Andrew was writing it, I would read it and I'm like, "Andrew, you didn't use a strong enough phrase here. You need to use a stronger phrase." Or I'm like, "This sounds bad. We should just adjust that." Like it's just going to come off offended. Like we just got to say it a different way, even though it's the way you would say it, So there are things like that we've been able to do. And truly, it gave us, with the dozens of people who have reached out to us, the time to sit there and talk about the real. And that's what I can't stress, is being able to talk about the real. Because for so long, we were not allowed to talk about the real. We would bring up real questions to leaders where we thought it mattered, and they would hear us, and we were like squashed. You're offended. It doesn't, they never said it doesn't matter, but the communication was, it doesn't matter. And don't go spreading lies and rumors. Don't go saying things that aren't true. You need to honor your leaders. You need to honor and you need to cover your leaders by not bringing this up, all of that stuff. And I didn't talk about like what happened with that leader for a very long time because of honor. I wanted to not people to not see him in a bad light, even though he was displaying rough behavior publicly to me every single meeting. So, talking about it, having the courage to talk about it, that has been one of the biggest things. I mean, I remember when we sent that story to Andrew's parents for the first time, because we live on a family compound where his neighbors are 30 feet behind this door, behind this wall. And, they were seeing us live it out and they didn't understand. They attended the church. They didn't get it. And when we sent that to them, all I can say is like the emotion was taken out of it. The delivery was taken out of it. And it opened up the door to be able to actually talk about things for the first time from the understanding of what's happened. So, having the courage to connect with people who I think it's, I'm not trying to pry, but how did this go down? You know, most people want to talk about their experiences though. Most people want to be asked, hey, I care about you. Do you have another side of the story? Like most people. So when people approach me, I'm like, let's talk about it. I mean, it's not great. I mean, and I always preface, I'll share anything, but you have to know that once you hear this, you're not going to unhear it. And this is my life. Like, this is what we lived through. And so that is just so, talking about it, connecting with people.
Yeah. And I think like the whole IHOP exposure has given us all permission more to do that, right? Because we are, so many of us, you know, same with us for years, held this inside. You kind of just move on. You might tell like your few close people, but you would never dream about publicly. You're right. Because in our hearts, we do want to honor. We don't want, you know, the truth is there isn't bitterness. Like we don't wish harm upon those people. But I think the beauty is that, right, permission to actually talk about this and not have to bury it and keep moving forward. Which I love that you've been able to connect with others and just talk about it. Like, hey, what was your experience? That can be, you know, just so healing, I think.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. And part of it was I was on stage. I was one of the main worship people for so long. So when we left, we knew it would make waves because
absolutely,
we were so a part of it and then disappeared. I told people I was leaving we were leaving before, but they did not tell anybody, which gave the appearance of disappearance. And it's the we have had the opportunity just because we've been like, we also feel the responsibility. We endorsed people. I remember Andrew telling me, every time you get on stage as a worship leader, you're endorsing the people in front of you. And right now you're endorsing some narcissistic authoritarian behavior. And do you recognize, he didn't say that accusing me. He said, do you recognize that? And that was a hard reality for me to understand. It would be like, if I was doing a concert for like Epstein or something like that would have implications of what I believe or who I'm around, you know? It's not as simple as, oh, yeah, well, they were paying me. It's like, no, you actually say no to certain things because of who these people are associating themselves with and how they've behaved and how they've treated people. And it says something as someone who people have trusted. Like, and so there's a personal, when that clicked in my heart, I was like, oh man, it's not like I have a say in what they say from the platform and how they deliver. When I'm up there, I'm up there, and they can say whatever they want,
whatever they want. Yeah.
I may not agree with it, but like, who's going to know? And that was a very real reality for me. And I think about that to this day, and how, we just feel a personal responsibility not to remove someone from ministry, not to call for someone's job or someone's head, just to get information out there. Like, there were moments in time where somebody could have told us their story, but they left, which is fine. You can just leave. You can just, I understand that. I understand I just got to get out of here. I can't, because we wanted to do that so bad.
Yeah.
It would be easier to not talk about it because of the implications of relationships that could be severed. But also, I'm responsible for the truth that I know. Like, I'm responsible. We feel that fear of God over us, of like, we encouraged people to join this place. We encouraged people to join staff. We encouraged people to stay. And gosh, we didn't know what we know. We didn't have words for what we know, and that's what we just feel so deeply is knowledge is power. And there's been so many times where people have not had the courage to stand up. And we hope that other people will have the courage to speak out their stories, whether it's to their mother, their brother, their friend. It doesn't have to be public, online, just to someone. Because that's where the healing began with us.
Absolutely.
You have to admit to yourself when you speak out your story what happened, and that is terrifying. Like,
it is terrifying. It absolutely is terrifying. It is so much fear and other things you have to confront, and I don't even know if confront's the right word, but definitely look in the face of it.
And I remember
y'all are doing that, and I just want to commend you and Andrew both. I mean, I know that you're giving other people in your community courage as they hear your story. And I know y'all probably talk privately too with people. And, as you're continuing to tell your story, navigate and help people, I just know that it's going to mean a lot and really, really help a lot of people.
Yeah. Thank you so much. We're so appreciative, for both of you coming on and sharing. And I know, like, it's helpful for me to listen to your stories. And I know it's going to help so many people and just continue to bring healing, I think, in the church right now. This is the start of it, is like, breaking this stuff down and learning from it. And so we can heal and, move forward in the way I think that God really wants us all to. So thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much, Joy. We really appreciate you joining us. And I know that our audience will really appreciate, what you share with us today. And I hope that it generates a lot of conversation and meaningful change across not just the IHOP orbits, but in the broader church, hypercharismatic especially. So thank you so much again. We really appreciate you coming on, and hope you have enjoyed our podcast with Joy. And if you have any questions or want to reach out, please do. Our email is gritinthewild@gmail.com, or you can just leave us a comment here on the YouTube channel or the other socials. And as always, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.